Welcome to another Long Report. I'm your host, Chris Long, and here on this episode of the Long Report, I sit down with two fantastic candidates up for election here in Mecosta County. Bruce Borkovich, running for Big Rapids Township Supervisor, and Carmen Bean for the County Commissioner. We cover everything from the crazy liberal cancel culture shutdown of the Big Rapids buzz to the Goshen Battery Plant. Stay tuned for their personal stories, leadership philosophies, and the inspirations driving their campaigns, as well as hot-button issues like the whole transparency problem at the county level. Anyway, hit that like and subscribe button, share the report, roll the intro.
I'm setting my own clock.
Communist Party of China.
Red flags are everywhere.
You will be held accountable.
We're not Chinese owned.
They are not going to stop. They're not going to stop.
This is not a done deal.
If the door is that way. Thank the board for bringing us together.
And now the act you've all been waiting for.
Professional picketers.
And if you don't like it, there's the door.
Hello and welcome to another Long Report. I'm your host, Chris Long, and today we're back on the road. We have some special guests on today. Been a little while. We got Bruce Borkovich on, running for supervisor of Big Rapids Township.
How about that?
Yeah, and then we also have another candidate on. We have Carmen Bean running for county commissioner.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Chris.
Yes, so it's been a while since you've been on, Bruce. The Big Rapids buzz no longer exists.
Yeah, we pretty much were told to buzz off. I think that's the official technical term when you're off the air, you buzz off. So here we are.
Yes, and there's no restrictions on this, so I'm happy with it. There's no restrictions on the podcast. I don't have to give equal time to anybody.
I found a little irony in how the Big Rapids Buzz was treated as. To me, that's kind of like boycotting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's, all joking aside, it's the classic cancel culture.
Yes.
It's one of the, most harmful tools, and the thing that just turns my stomach is how powerful the cancel culture has been. It's why so many people won't voice their opinions, won't voice American opinions, their core values, because they're worried in some way it's going to affect their employment, their promotional ability, their reputation, whatever.
Unfortunately, it creates a lot of people to cower in the corner, so to speak,
Yes.
rather than stand up.
It does.
But here's the thing. I don't care. I already planned that they were going to probably shut me down, because they would do what they did and attack the sponsors, which is why I created the Long Report at the same time I did that as a backup plan. I knew it would occur. And, we're here. And I said, if you try to silence me, I'll only become louder. I said that in the summer.
Yeah.
And what have I done? Every single time I've gotten louder and louder.
Chris, remember what happened to Obi-Wan? When Obi-Wan Kenobi was killed, he only became more powerful. Remember? And they could not say that if it wasn't true. Star Wars is all true because you can't say that stuff if it isn't. And Darth Vader struck him down, and he told him, Darth, if you kill me, I'll only become more powerful. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Hey, they can keep trying to silence me. I don't know really how they're going to try to cancel me on this. What are they going to report all the videos and shit?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway, so what have they done to you?
To me?
Yeah.
What do you mean they?
The other side, have they attacked you?
So I don't follow. I really don't follow anyone. I follow my friends, and and as you know, both of you know, in this whole fight with Goshen and my when Carmen made me a deputy supervisor, and my journey to maybe becoming supervisor, I spend my efforts supporting my friends and people who believe in what I believe, and so this is a long around the corner answer, but I'm not really sure, and that's okay.
They're attacking you every other day.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and
that's what they do.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but I fire away. You spend a career in law enforcement and then end your career as the police chief at a university and as a conservative Christian. at I wasn't at Hillsdale, and fire away. If they think they're even going to get through my scar tissue, they're kidding themselves. They're not getting down to any flesh. They're just tickling the scar tissue. So,
what about you? Are they attacking you?
I would imagine that there might be something said now and then out there that's not really in my favor. Much like Bruce, I basically follow my family.
Yeah.
And friends, and I don't look at the other sites. I don't go to the other pages. Every now and then, someone will tell me that there are things being said. I usually make a cross with my fingers and say, "Get away from me." I've got thick skin. There's not much going to make me angry. Anger's not healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't get angry. I respect other people have different worldviews than me, and that's fine. That's fine with me. I feel I have a value set, and that value set's not changing.
Yeah.
So, I stick by that, and I try to treat people, as kindly as I can and respectful as I can. And it's very easy for me to write people off who don't practice that respect for others. And what they have to say, they have to say, and it really doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah. I had a good friend and a colleague, because I still do it, but I conducted, I don't know how many interviews from officers on up to police chiefs. I was hired by a company to sit on, HR company to sit on boards. And so I became very comfortable with doing hiring interviews. And a buddy of mine came up with one of the best questions. It is so simple. You mentioned core values. And he said, try asking an applicant, what are your core values? And when I first heard that, I was like, that is so simple and so elementary. That can't be impactful. It's crazy. Educated, experienced people, and you ask them what their core values are, and they can't tell you, or they'll come up with one. Mm-hmm. And wow.
What are your core values?
My core values are my family, my faith, my patriotism, belief in our Constitution, belief in the American system of rules, belief in our republic, honesty, compassion, tolerance. And when I say tolerance, I make sure people understand that I'm not left tolerant. I'm tolerant of people's differences. So I could spend probably another 5 minutes firing off core values, but I was shocked at what a difficult question that is in some interview forums. It's unbelievable.
Carmen, what are your core values?
Well, Bruce and I could be like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. We could be twins, like they were in the movie. But, I truly value honesty, faith, work ethic, and kindness.
Yeah.
Definitely I do that.
Yeah.
And love of country.
None of you guys have attacked anyone on the other side.
No.
Oh, you're not. I won't do it.
My father would say, Chris, and you've heard me give all these, I know to Chris, I'm that old guy that's always speaking in these euphemisms and these things. But my father had so many wise gems that he gave me. We call in our family Grandpa's rule. And that's what we've taught, our children. Grandpa's rule was if you don't have anything good to say about anyone, don't say anything. But my dad had another gem. And when someone said something ridiculous, he would look at them and say, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. Yes. And it is so powerful because it's me responding to your attack, your accusation, whatever, is not worth even, it will dignify it. It will give it credibility if I even answer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're constantly saying that what I do, you're telling me what to do, which makes zero sense. You haven't told me anything to do. In fact, it's typically afterward is like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that.
Right. We have those conversations, don't we, Chris? And I admire Chris. And if the other people don't like me because I say I admire Chris, one of the things I admire so much about you, in the same reason I admire Ted Nugent, is because no one is going to silence you.
No.
And that is so core American. It is. It is so core American. Now, Ted Nugent, you can't cancel culture him. He has all the money he needs. Yeah. So so the other side doesn't try to hit him with cancel culture because he doesn't have anything they need or they can impact. And one of the things I respect about you is
I'm not doing any of this for money. I just don't care.
No, but that's Americana. Yeah. You know, I used, when I was at Ferris and we'd have demonstrations or I'd speak to groups or whatever, and with some concerns, talk to officers coming in to help. I said, listen, there's a reason it's the First Amendment. I think it's pretty important.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think our founding fathers thought, wow, this is the one we better get out first. So that's part of being a great American.
One.
Yeah. People can, they have the right to their opinion. They have the right to say what they want to say, barring some of the things.
Yes. You can't threaten, can't yell fire in a theater. Yeah.
All those good things. Yeah. And you just, you don't let it get to you. Anger is like feeding yourself poison and hoping someone else gets sick.
And I do know there's been accusations that I tell Chris what to say, that Chris is a puppet for me. And it's just kind of funny because we often have very pointed conversations. After I find out he says something, I'll reach out and say, that was perfect except for that last part. Or why did you say that? And I respect your right to say
Can you say bullshit on the podcast?
Yes, you can.
Okay, that's bullshit because nobody can tell Chris anything.
No. And so for anyone listening to this, if you do think that Chris is manipulated by any of us or he's working behind the scenes for us, I'm telling you, it's just wrong. And, so.
I don't think we could pay him enough to say what we want him to say.
No. Karl Marx made it so clear in the Communist Manifesto. He didn't hide it. One of the tenets, one of the foundations of socialism is to remove religion from the society, to destroy God. Why? Then you have to ask why. Because in socialism, the government needs to become God. Yeah. And then you become dependent on them. They are your God. Yeah. And that'll never happen in the Borkovich house, I'll tell you that. But I saw that today. It was just, it was chilling.
Well, there was a speech back in the 50s or 60s that said that like the communists can take over without firing a shot.
Without firing a shot. Yeah. I believe that's I believe, I don't know if it's the current top dog in China said that, but I think, they have a 100-year plan that they have been working on. In my opposition to the battery plant, do I think China's going to come in, build a plant, and attack us from here, like walk out and with guns and attack us? That would be really, really dumb. Like Ted Nugent said, does the left understand? Because they were talking about after Antifa and the George Floyd thing, we're coming to the country next. Yeah. And Ted Nugent said, do they realize that in the country, people sit in a tree stand for 8 hours in camouflage waiting to kill something?
With a bow, a handgun, a rifle, a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Mao Zedong did the 100-year plan. Just 29 years after Stalin said that, he implemented it, and here we are. They're on their way, and we're assisting them. We're financing it.
Carman is someone I admire so much. I've learned so much from him about, I'm going to say this. Carmen, forgive me. I've learned so much about politics. Now, quick, let me define that. I've learned what a good elected official is from Carmen Bean. And I'm an observer of people. I always have been. And I've watched since he became, in a recall, our township supervisor. And everything he does is about transparency and representing his public. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a fairy tale type. It's what I must say the P word again.
Fairy.
No, fairy tale. Oh, fairy tale. And but it is. I mean, I know this is goofy and this makes Carmen a little uncomfortable, but he is what everything is supposed to be in politics. In politics. Yeah. But real quick, because you both talked to her, we had Kala from Voice of America. Yeah. She is a Chinese national. I believe she's been here for 12 years. Yeah. And she says she's going to get her citizenship now. She is so bright.
Oh, goodness.
It's scary.
Articulate,
Bright.
well-informed.
Oh, yeah.
And she was warning us against what's going on.
Oh, she is. Yeah. And she's so charming. I mean, she is so neat. So she came out to interview Carmen and I. Carmen's an outdoorsman, a hunter like me. And as we look to the east across, there's my big food plot for the deer. And I said, hey, Carmen, see that? I got a woodchuck out there, 350 yards the other day. And I shot him. And they both looked at me. And she had her and her cameraman.
Yes.
I don't know. I think it was her. She said, you have a gun?
Yes.
And I'm like,
freedom.
I'm like, Beavis and Butthead.
She wanted to see your armory.
Yeah, she did. Well, I'll mention that. Yeah. I was like Beavis or Butthead, whichever one's guns. Do you have a gun? And I said, yeah. And you want to see it? Yeah. And I brought out, it's a 22-250, a varmint rifle. You want it? I made sure it was unloaded. I gave them a real quick little safety, primer. I said, you want to hold it? Oh my gosh, yes. And they held it and it was really neat to watch. And then one of them, I think she said, you have a handgun? Oh yeah. Yeah, I got handguns. So I brought out a little 22 and made sure it was unloaded, showed it to them and everything. And then said, you want to shoot it? And they just lit up. Oh my gosh, yes. So I let him shoot a little box in the backyard, and he was a little more reserved than she was. But when she shot, she hit the box with both shot, and you could almost hear her face crack from her smile.
She was just giddy.
The corner of her mouth was touching her ears.
Yes.
Wow.
That smile was so big. And I said, Kala, do you know the feeling you have right now? She says, yeah. I said, do you know what that feeling is? No. I said, that's freedom. Mm-hmm. Right now, you know what freedom feels like.
Yeah.
You can go out, you own property, go out off your deck and pull a gun out and shoot it as much as you want, and no one can tell you can't. And you could just see the wheels, turning in there. And then they said, can we see your armory? They said, can we see your armory?
And she asked you, is what we're doing legal?
Yes. Yes. They'd never touched a gun before, never fired a gun. And I asked, can you own a farm property in China? And no, he finally explained, for some people, they can't own a house, but it's kind of like a 70-year lease. You own it, but after 70 years, it turns back over to the government.
Yeah, and the land's all the government's.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun afternoon.
That was cool.
It really was.
All right, your turn, Carmen. I talked too much.
Oh.
So what is one of the big things that you want to change at the county level? I know one thing I like to see is the meetings. Instead of them being during the day where nobody can go because they're working, I like to see those county meetings be in the evening.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we should, if elected, that I'll push for. It's not right. It's not proper. It's not representing the people if you don't allow them to participate in the governance, if you will.
Yeah.
I hate to use that term, governance,
but it's putting up a barrier.
Yeah, it's putting up a barrier. It truly is, and it almost appears to me like it's by design.
Yeah, it's probably Bullock's design.
I'm also very concerned about the responsible use of tax funds.
Oh yeah,
I believe that the county's sitting on. You hear so much. Some say 8, some say 16. Now we're talking about millions. Mm-hmm. I took a look at their financial reports from the last meeting, or the last one that was published, and it appears that they have over $41 million invested. Now I'm going to do
invested where?
Well, amongst various financial institutions. Now one of those may be one of those may be an operating fund or something, but I have to get into it further. But I believe that we're building.
What are they just sitting on the money for?
Well, that's my point. We're either overtaxed as citizens
We
or
have
we're
roads that need to be
underserviced.
fixed.
Yeah,
We have roads.
And Carmen, repeat that, will you? Because it's simple, but it's brilliant. Repeat what you just said. It's one of two things.
It's only one of two things. The citizens in Mecosta County are either overtaxed or they're underserviced.
It's one of the two.
I would
one
say
of the
we're
two.
underserviced. I want to know. It doesn't make any sense because you're not supposed to make a profit at the end of the year. You're supposed to be level and not like have all this stuff extra.
Yeah,
and they refuse. There's one county commissioner that absolutely refuses and says that fixing the roads is not our responsibility. It's the state responsibility. I'm sorry. If you have $44 million just sitting there doing nothing.
Okay, now, I want you to know, I need to verify what accounts are what accounts. But the total deposits, as on the last statement, were $41 million.
Wow.
Okay. Now,
Well, it's definitely not all going to the sheriff's department.
No, we need.
And it's definitely not going.
We need to support, and when I've said this, and it's on my palm card I'll be sending out, we need to adequately fund law enforcement, emergency services, roads, and we need to start funding fire departments. The county does not fund fire response.
Amen. Chris, the mission statement of, and I wonder if all the commissioners know this. They have a mission statement, and the mission statement is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Mecosta County. That is their mission statement.
In 2022, they violated that.
Well, unfortunately, mission statements and master plans, at least in this county, maybe it's statewide, it's lip service. It's supposed to be, I hate to do this, it's supposed to be our little constitution. It's supposed to be the rules that govern us so that individuals don't deviate from those things. And that master plan and that mission statement should enter into just about, at least you should be thinking about it in every conversation you have. And Carmen brings up such great points. Okay, so there's your mission statement, health, safety, and welfare, that if we've got money we're taking from people that is not being spent, maybe we need to look at supporting law enforcement and fire, emergency. We've got a sheriff in this town. County does a great job.
Yes,
Brian
he does.
Miller.
Brian Miller's vote for Brian Miller.
Well,
exactly.
His heart is as big as the moon. He's getting some mud slung on him.
Yes,
and I've known
ridiculous.
Brian for years. He is very honest, high integrity, very honest, very transparent, and he's done a great job.
Just look at the people that are slinging mud at him.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what's being said. I don't. You may know. I don't really know where it's coming from. But there, I got a gratuitous plug in for Brian. But Carmen's 100% right. Let's look at priorities.
Yeah, as an example, I just cannot comprehend that the K-9 unit had to have a fundraiser. I can't comprehend that. They had to have a golf outing to fund the K-9 unit.
That's insane.
Yeah, and to me, that is insane.
It's bake sale policing.
Yes.
That's what I've coined it. Bake sale policing.
I want to know where all that money is going. If they are sitting on that much, where is it going? What little pet projects are being done that behind the scenes?
I don't know. I mean,
I can't answer that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if elected, I will find out.
Yeah.
Are you going to push for a ethics policy that everybody
yeah,
should
definitely.
sign?
I think there should be one out there. If not, we should draft one.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be one. Yeah. We need to hold the politicians accountable to the people.
Yes.
And that's not happening.
And it shouldn't take a recall to do that.
Correct.
It shouldn't. No. I mean, I'm so proud of my patriot brothers and sisters, two of whom are at this table with me on the recall. But that's extreme, and we shouldn't have to do that. If good people are doing their job, you should never have to recall.
Correct. We shouldn't. But you know what? It took Goshen to wake everybody up.
It did.
It's reality.
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. I thank Goshen for coming here to wake people up.
It's an interesting dynamic.
I think we have an entire segment of the population, and I believe it's the majority, that is simply saying enough is enough.
Yes.
Yep.
That the time is now and the place is here in Mecosta County.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to take a stand. We're putting a stake in the ground, and we're saying stop enough.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, hopefully we're successful. We've been successful thus far. And I'm not going to give up. This battle's not over.
No.
You're not going. We're not going to back down.
No.
And you're not going to silence us.
No.
At least you're not going to silence me.
No. The whole push now against the commissioners, it's not because they're bad people or they've done evil things, but
there was a couple of them that lied.
They did a terrible thing, and the terrible thing is they made decisions using their political amnesia. As I've coined it. They made decisions for us without asking us.
They made uninformed decisions
Absolutely.
as well.
And they
because-
made statements at the State Appropriations Committee.
Well, now remember, Geraldine did talk to several people.
Geraldine?
.0002.
Is it Geraldine?
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Hey, don't you play this game with me because you messed that up at a meeting you called. That
you
was
call,
so funny. You
Didn't
called Linda.
Commissioner Howard that?
Yeah, I called Linda Howard Geraldine by accident,
that was
honestly.
and it was not on purpose.
And now you just called her Geraldine. Did you call her
Geraldine?
Geraldine?
Geraldine. And I've heard.
Wasn't she a comedian?
I've heard. I think she is. I've heard some things about her over the years. I think she's done some really good things. I really do, and it's all being undone, possibly by this seduction by Goshen.
Yeah.
And I saw her testifying, and I'm not joking when I said she said she talked to several people.
How many is several?
Now, I'm not a PhD. I do have a master's degree, big deal, but I did have to take, research and probability statistics, and I'm far from a research expert, but several is that's a pretty small N. They call that an N, a sampling number. That's pretty small. I talked to several people. We had, of course, another elected official who quoted either 96 or 97% of the Green Township constituents were for it.
Good old Chappie.
Now, if you talk to 6 people and 5 of them, say, yeah, I'm for it, well, maybe that's where you get your statistics.
Well, should we just start using several for everything? How many? How do you know that? Well, because I talked to several people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start saying that.
So can we say that they're providing them with several billion rather than 1 billion?
Yeah, if we're just yes. Why not?
That's with a B, billion.
Several billion. Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
I think we should start doing that since it's okay.
Well, they're
for them
also
to do that.
proposing on building several plants here. I've heard they're going to build one across my pond in the food plot, and there's nothing I can do about it. They're going to airdrop a foundation in, and then they're going to have a big Chinese helicopters with the factory.
Several helicopters?
Several. And they're going to drop it. That's what?
No, I'm just.
There's several of them
I'm
coming.
having fun.
This is why you miss me being on the radio
Yes,
with
I
you.
needed you on.
Maybe I overstated that, and I'm embellishing it. Maybe it's just a few billion.
Rather than several?
Yeah. Or a couple billion.
A couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't comprehend that we've allowed this to go as far as it's gone. I can't comprehend that the county commissioners passed the resolution in support. You can't even find any discussion in the minutes of that meeting.
Yeah.
They just, it was like.
Which, excuse me, it's easy then to infer that there were discussions held elsewhere.
Yes.
It's pretty hard to believe
Yes.
that you're going to make such an important decision just out of your back pocket at a meeting.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, a big Chinese battery plant's coming in. What do you think? Thumbs up? And it's kind of hard to believe it. Yeah, okay. Hey, how about you? Thumbs up? Yeah, it's done. It would lead one to believe that there were probably lots of communications.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Were they done in secret?
That's how you do it get all your votes.
Were they done in violation of the OMA?
Yeah.
And who knows? And
Yeah.
I don't know that factually, but I spent quite a few years predicting what people are going to do or what they have done in my career. And
They're public meetings for a reason. The discussion needs to take place in front of the public. At the township level, we have 2 public comment sessions, one prior to anything going on and one after the fact. I actually have a tendency to allow it to go on as well as when we're discussing things.
Yeah.
Because you want to get the input. You don't want to
Yeah.
shut them down.
Yeah.
I believe in Robert's Rules of Order, but I also believe that the citizens have a voice.
And that's a great perspective because there's nothing in the Open Meetings Act that says you can't do that.
No, there isn't.
Correct.
The Open Meetings Act allows you to restrict the way people talk and for how long, but there's nothing that says every time you guys propose something to say, I want to take a minute. any opinions from anyone in the audience.
Well, when the
There's nothing that
community
prohibits
treats you
that.
correctly and you are transparent and everything, when you do things properly, you should be able to have an open dialogue with your constituents. But when you do something like Chapman did, in order to shut down dissent and shut down the opposition, no talking. Nope. There's the door.
Yeah, I believe so much.
Sheriff, remove him.
I believe so much.
And the sheriff, that
It was
Brian
Gary
that-
Green, the undersheriff, and I think Brian was there. And I had talked with both of them. I kind of mentor those guys. And I hired Gary, and we had talked before those meetings quite a bit about the First Amendment and the police presence and about always erring in the side of caution and giving and that it's a balancing act because you want to keep those meetings safe and orderly at the same time. You're not the Gestapo, and several times a particular township
This ain't the radio.
supervisor would say when someone was and people are passionate, they're angry, they're emotional, and when they would get loud, I was there several times where sheriff, remove him, like Moses, like Red Sea part in front of me. And Brian and Gary are both sitting there, had their arms crossed, standing there, and they never even uncrossed them. They just stared at him. And what was going on in their head was, first of all, don't tell me how to enforce the law. You're talking about the First
But he's
Amendment
got
here.
30 years of experience, so he can do that.
That's true. I guess
I'm not even going to comment.
No,
on
I'm not
that.
going to comment. But I did find I was proud of our sheriff and our undersheriff because they didn't step in and start muscling people. And
Correct.
And you've got to understand this is an emotional, passionate issue, and people are going to show emotion.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's healthy.
Yes.
It looks like they're out of order, but that's.
If people are getting that emotional,
There's a
maybe you're
reason.
doing something wrong.
Yeah. I heard that. Where did I hear that? I think you've got a recording, don't you?
I do.
Some people just can't perceive things,
Yeah.
as well as others.
There's a clip here that Chris is searching for.
Maybe you're doing something wrong.
That was when the one guy said to Chapman, if you have to wear
And he was a Marine.
if you have to carry a gun to protect yourself against your constituents, maybe you're doing something wrong.
I think
Maybe you're doing something wrong.
he's a veteran. I think he might have been a combat veteran. I think he was a Marine. He's a good man. He's a good
It's
family
right
man.
near the property too.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, that was, in my opinion, more for show than protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
People,
The vest and the gun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Has anybody been out attacking people physically?
The Green Township got attacked
Yeah.
with a machete.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
I
about
stopped
that.
by and saw the door yesterday. I saw Jason's truck there, and Jason, another one of I knew Jason before this. It's not like I met him in this battle because my wife used to work at their clinic. But what a guy! I have so much admiration for him, and he has sacrificed so much financially, time, effort, emotion,
community.
career for his community. But he is such a good man. He and his wife are just, the
Beautiful
world's a
people.
mess. But when you see those two and how they're raising those children and what they stand for, it kind of, I feel like
Gives you hope.
music playing in the background, some patriotic music. There's some hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that young man is, he's a hardworking young man.
Yes.
He's intelligent.
He's very smart.
Yes.
Yes,
Very
he is.
strategic.
Yep. He's a smart guy.
They underestimate him.
They do.
Yeah.
They all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, I don't know, since you've been gone on the Big Rapids Buzz and everything, I don't know if you've been following what happened in the last two shows. So the last two shows of the Big Rapids Buzz, I had Lori Brock on and Tanya and
I listened to
Angela.
that one.
Yep. And they made up lies, complete lies. The other side did. They all went and tried to contact our sponsors to try to take down the show. They pressured the sponsors, throwing their weight around, and and trying to say that they're going to boycott their business, blah, 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 if they don't take me on, if they don't stop sponsoring. And so I said, okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to affect the radio station's revenue. So I'm going to take the show down. And that's what I did. But they just made these complete lies about what we said. Never once did I say anything. Did I say anything about anybody's weight? Did Tanya? No.
I listened to it. I listened to the whole thing, and it was strictly referencing McDonald's Happy Meals and how many Happy Meals would it take for a certain person to become happy.
Yeah.
That I was clearly, to me, there was not
and
one
the whole
part
reason is
of
because
me.
she used to work at McDonald's.
Well, not one part of me was thinking, oh, he's insinuating that someone is not in good shape or overweight. Not one part of that. It was actually humorous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's unfortunate that folks are so thin-skinned and read into things messages that are not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't very strategic about it because, let's be honest, when I was doing the radio show, I was not doing this. I was not focusing on the podcast. I was focusing strictly on trying to get one episode recorded each week and doing that. So really the situation was only being broadcasted in this area and only being spread in this area online. And them shutting that down gave me more time, no time restrictions of trying to get that pressure of getting an episode out a week and in scheduling and doing all that. They didn't think very hard about what they would open them, what can of worms would they open if they did that. So now I don't have to worry about a timing schedule. I don't have to worry about sponsors. I don't have to worry about any of that. They just unleashed me. Now we can focus on doing whatever and getting it out to everyone.
yeah,
Well, there are folks out there that nitrous oxide wouldn't make smile.
it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't comprehend going through life that angry.
Yes.
I just can't comprehend.
And that on edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the only reason I know is because people have shown me what some other people have said about me in this whole thing, and okay, I say what you want. It's America. Say what you want. You haven't damaged me.
Yeah.
You haven't hurt me. I'm not going to stand up and put my gloves up and fight you or fight back. Or
They weren't going to vote for you anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
Ooh,
Well, those comments,
you lost 10 votes.
Yeah.
the comments say more about the person delivering them than they do about the person they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's all you have to do is listen to folks and you find out what kind of folks they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So why are you running for supervisor?
I realized through, this fight, started with Pat Curry, who loaded me up one day with another community member. Hey, let's go for a ride, and showed me where they were proposing this. And I realized, I pulled my head out of the sand or maybe out of somewhere else and realized this is within 2 miles of our farm.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you should. Like this.
yeah,
Something like that. That would be a good sound effect for someone to pull their.
No,
yeah. How about this one, Chris? You can copy it.
Okay, I'll use that next time.
campaign open.
And it really it really hit me. And then as I dove into it, I realized our core principles of representative government were perverted in this county at the township, a couple of townships, and thank God for the board, and I'm so proud of our board in Big Rapids Township for doing what they did. But I realized that the system was corrupted, it was perverted, because we have long-term professional politicians, people, elected representatives who have decided, okay, I'm in, I got this, I know what I'm doing now. Don't you worry, Mr. Bean. You just be a good boy and sit home. I know what's good for you.
Yeah.
And that is so repugnant to me. And then I realized, is it their fault or is it my fault? Because I always look within. Is it their fault? Yeah, to a certain extent. They didn't do what they're supposed to. Who let them do that? people like me who are sound asleep.
Exactly.
Who are not willing to get involved.
Yeah.
I vote. Well, if you think showing up to vote makes you a great citizen, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe if that's all you do, maybe you should stay home anyhow. Showing up to vote doesn't make you a great citizen. And so I've told people, do I want to be Big Rapids Township Supervisor? Heck no. I feel a calling to be Big Rapids Township Supervisor. It's not like
You're not doing it for money.
Not doing it for
You're
money.
not doing it for power.
I'm not doing it for power or ego, but I do realize
Not even recognition.
I can preserve something that's very precious to many people, and that is their voice, their right to be represented.
Yeah.
And I'm no genius. I'm definitely, I always say I have kind of a room temperature IQ. But what I can do if I become supervisor is listen to people, figure out, what they want. I coined a cheesy little saying is, in Big Rapids Township, let's protect what we have and determine what we need.
Yeah.
But those are both important. Got to protect the nature of what we have here and our lifestyle and what's important to us, and then together determine what we need. From what I've seen, the board isn't anti-growth, anti-employment, just the opposite. But according to the correct growth, and according to the master plan, which I've read numerous times, there are priorities that people have established here, and this particular plant doesn't align with that master plan. So that's why I'm running. It's my turn in the barrel, and I can bring that. And I've learned so much from this guy.
Well, somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Because those that are currently in office are not doing it.
Yeah.
Correct. They've lost sight of what they were originally elected for because everyone's been asleep. Everybody's woken up and started going to meetings. Yes. I've seen more people at whether it's the city meetings, the county meetings, all that. People are waking up. And I think the one thing out of all of this, aside from us all uniting, is people are getting involved. That's what needs to happen. And they're getting involved where it matters most, local.
Yep.
And across the country, they're doing that.
I mean, this is pretty cynical, but at the federal level, it's really hard to feel like you can make an impact.
Yes.
You can make an impact in your own county, in your own township, in your own city. You can really make a difference and make an impact. And it's very hard to imagine that impact at the federal level.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are you running, Carmen?
Why am I running?
Yeah. Why do you want to be a county commissioner?
I think there's a need for change. I think that the level of representation of the people has eroded to a point where it's sad to watch it.
Yeah.
I think that we need to build a retaining wall somewhat.
A fortress.
A fortress. Exactly. I think that folks aren't being represented. I think that the local government and the state government and the federal government basically are there imposing their will upon the people.
Yeah.
And we need to do something different. We're taxed. I have no problem with paying my taxes, none whatsoever. But I don't want to pay one penny more than I have to.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that the money needs to be used in a responsible manner. I think it needs to be used in a constructive manner. I think that as you said earlier, the meetings need to be held where the citizens can attend them.
Yep.
I mean, they have them like 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. Most people who work a day shift somewhere have no opportunity to attend one of those meetings.
Correct.
And that's not right. It's simply not right. We need to listen.
Yeah.
We need to work together. We need to discuss the issues, and we need to research them. There's been no research regarding this major issue.
Yeah. Actually, what's her face? Linda Howard said she got plenty of research done. Remember at that GOP meeting?
I do, because I remember pinning her down on my question. And luckily, Chris Zimmerman, another good patriot, who is running for county commissioner.
To replace her.
I've known Chris for, I'll bet you, at least 30 years. He's a very, very smart guy. He's a very accomplished author. He's written like 5 or 6 books.
Wow.
He's a business owner. He's a community member. And
a son-in-law of Pete Kent.
Son-in-law of Pete Kent.
Yeah.
And Chris was a sergeant at arms. You guys were at that meeting, I think, because I asked the first question, and it was very pointed regarding to Linda Howard regarding our top security experts and their opinions on if this plan is built, what it'll be used for. And she danced around and bird walked off in another direction. And then I thought, well, okay, we're not going to get to answer it. And Chris Zimmerman says, okay, now you need to answer the question. You haven't answered it yet. Yeah. And she looked at him and looked at me. And the question was, now I really tried to give her an out. I really did. Don't back people in corners. When I was a little kid,
I do that.
No, you have to give a line of retreat.
You got to give.
I give a very little needle size hole to retreat from.
When I was a little kid, I loved critters and stuff. One day I was lifting up a board and there was a mouse there. And for whatever reason, our parents didn't let us have pets. I had the best parents in the world, but we never had a pet. We always wanted a pet. There's a little mouse there, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this could be my pet. I thought it was so cool. And I reached down, and that mouse bit me and took a slice with those incisors. It bled felt like days because it just removed, and it taught me a valuable lesson that you corner anything and it'll bite back. Give living things an out if you can. So I gave her an out. I said, now I know initially this looked like a good project. Now that our top security experts have analyzed this and we know there's serious, sincere threats and they're very likely to attack our cybersecurity, have you changed your opinion? I really gave her a chance to say, I've been rethinking it, or I need to rethink of it, or that is, and she kind of got indignant and kind of looked at Chris and me and said, nope. And I thought, okay, now I know why Orman is organizing this push to clean house at the county level.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Orman.
Yes.
I've learned a ton from him. What a good man.
He and his wife. A lot of energy.
I guess apparently he's the puppet master.
Oh, really?
Is he the one telling you what to say and what to do?
No.
Have you ever done?
Nobody tells me shit.
Have you ever done one thing I've told you to do?
No, actually, no.
That's true.
No, I know what you mean. When I ask him to turn left, he won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never asked you to turn left.
Yeah. No. I don't think it's possible for him to turn left. That's why he just goes in circles. He could get to where he's going, but he refuses to ever turn left.
Your mouse story, we really are twins. I was just a little guy, 5, 6 years old, and a fox squirrel got hit by a car. And its back legs were broken, probably its back as well. Well, I went out to try to rescue it. That thing bit me, I don't know how many times.
Yes. You corner any living, and yes. I really practice.
Now I got one too. So I think it was like 3-4 years ago. It was during during COVID in the winter, and my Sage was down in the basement, and she wouldn't come upstairs, and she was down by the old coal furnace, the chimney over there, the unused one, and she wouldn't leave it all day. And I'm like, what's going on? And so I went down there and opened up the latch, and there was a squirrel in there. And I'm like, oh, it fell down and it can't get back up. And Sage is like going crazy. So I went and grabbed some oven mitts.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
And I put on a leather coat and a couple pairs of jeans just to get some padding on. So I went down there. I had 2 oven mitts on, and I went down there, opened up the hatch slowly, and grabbed its tail. It immediately flung around. It went crazy, and then I grabbed it, the body, and it started biting it, and it bit it. I felt it through the oven mitts, but it didn't. Hey, when you break walnuts with your teeth,
that's exactly right.
It got me, and I'm trying to get it upstairs and let it out, but I saved it. It didn't bust any skin, but it definitely was mad at me. I was trying to save the damn thing.
Yeah, I was seldom in a fight in my whole career, just a handful, and part of it was because I was a big guy. I was in shape. But part of it was I always remembered you corner any living thing. I always remembered that mouse bite. And they can fight back and hurt you. So I was always cautious and smart and tactical and those sorts of things. But, yeah.
So, Carmen.
Yes, sir.
We're going to do a quick rounds of questions.
Okay.
What sets you apart from your competition for your position you're running for, the incumbent? What sets you apart?
I believe what sets me apart is I have no political aspirations. I'm not a lifelong politician by any means. I believe that we should think about even consider term limits for commissioners. I believe that this 22 years in service, I think there's a complacency that sets in, and I'm not very tolerant of complacency.
Yeah.
You're there to do a job, do the job. I think that, I've been in the area 50 years. Bill is a longtime resident. But I think that we have different value sets. Bill's probably done a lot of real good things for the community, but, recently, we don't get to go on what we did 20 years ago.
Yes. Exactly.
We don't get to do that.
Bingo.
And, I want to affect change.
Yeah.
Or at least discussion of change.
Yeah.
I want to take a look at do risk analysis for the county.
Yeah.
And I don't think that occurs currently.
Correct.
There's so much to it. The various committees. I think we need changes on the committees as well. I mean, it's just status quo, and it's been that way forever. We have the same people in the community serving on multiple committees.
Yeah. Same people just pushed around.
Yeah, they're just recycled to a various committee.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the way to do it. I think you need to broaden your horizons a bit, get more input from more people.
Yeah.
Differing viewpoints provoke a lot of thought, a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it innovation, but it makes you look at things in a different manner.
Yeah.
It can make you reconsider your opinion, which we all need to do.
Yes.
Yep.
We need to analyze it. We need to think about it. We need to look at the data. I think that the current board is they go with the flow. Nobody wants to ruffle any feathers. I don't think that they do the proper research or have the proper discussion that they need to have on very important issues.
Yeah.
And I would commit to doing that, doing it openly, not on the side, not in ex parte meetings where the public doesn't hear what you're saying. I believe all commissioners need to receive the same information before it's been massaged by whoever the masseuse is. And I think there's a lot of that now. And we need to eradicate that.
Yeah. Bruce, what
Yes.
sets you apart from your competition? We won't say his name.
No, that's fine. And to be honest with you, I don't know him very well, and I don't know what his qualifications are. So I'm going to tell you, not so much compare him, but tell you why I think I'm prepared for the job. First of all, I think I'm a proven leader. It started, a lot of people don't think of this way, but I started my professional life off as a teacher and a coach. In my last year in Everett, I coached I'll think of it by season, the 7th grade girls basketball, the varsity boys basketball, and the JV boys baseball. And you're a leader. You're leading young people. And when you're in a classroom teaching, you're a leader. You're gaining valuable leadership experience. And then I got into a law enforcement career, ended up being a detective, and really helped to mentor and lead and teach other officers major investigation. Ended up on a drug team and was the assistant team leader, doing critical drug investigations and search warrants, a lot of responsibility. And then ended my career at Ferris as the police chief and as the Ferris emergency manager. And so I think I've established leadership ability. I'm a servant leader as far as leadership style goes. I think I have the education for it, although I'm not as impressed by education as some might be, but I have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in education, a master's degree in criminal justice administration. So I think I'm able to communicate effectively in a written fashion or in person. I'm 65 years old. I've seen a lot. I've done some wild, crazy things. If anyone has ever read my book, you'll tip your hat, scratch your head, and think, he didn't really do that, did he? I've done, some crazy things, and you learn, you make mistakes, you learn what to do, you learn how to survive. One night, on a beginning of an undercover case, I thought I was cooked. I remember being at a table similar to this, and there was probably, for the sake of our discussion, 8 adults there, 2 young teenage children, and 7 male adults. And I had you'll love this, I had a hidden holster. It's called Thunderwear. It's like a sling you wear, almost like a thong without the back part, without the T. Can I say that on this
Yeah.
show, Chris?
I thought maybe a blocked gas release.
No, it's not. No, they call it Thunderwear. And I had a 5-shot revolver in there. And I remember thinking, and the main suspect brought out a loaded Glock. I say it's loaded. The magazine was in it. And he's sitting about as far as Carmen and I, and he wouldn't say a word to me. And he's got it, not pointing at me like this, and he's just eyeballing me. And I remember thinking, this is how you think. I was pretty calm, but I remember thinking, well, first of all, I don't have enough bullets in this gun. It's a 5-shot revolver to fight my way out of this. But I also remember people are close enough that I'm confident that I can put a bullet into each head of the most dangerous people. And what you do in those situations is you prioritize. If you've got a 75-year-old guy here that's been smoking dope all day and he's sitting there drooling, and every once in a while he's eating a booger, he's probably not the one most dangerous at that table. You get a guy across from you who literally pulls his own teeth with pliers. He had about 6 left. He pulls them with pliers, and he's got a loaded 9mm pistol across from you, staring you down, trying to flush you out, wondering if you're undercover. You prioritize. So I knew he was getting the first one in the forehead. This person, the guy gets the next one. This guy gets the next one. This guy gets the next one. This guy, and then I'm running. But where I'm going with that is I've been in so many situations in my life where I've had to learn how to think, how to act, how to get along with people, how to listen, how to how to get by. And being 65 has its drawbacks because you're old, but it also, has its advantages with wisdom and the ability to make good judgments and good decisions. So,
Carmen,
Yes, sir.
what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership it's unique, and there aren't as many people who have it, who are good at it. It's the ability to take varying personalities and skill sets and get them to embrace each other, get them to embrace the path that everyone on the team has decided to take, and do it in such a manner as that there's respect everywhere, and it's mutual respect. You can't demand respect. A leader has the ability to make an organization gel. They have a way to make it fun while you're doing your job. It has to have purpose. You have to have purpose, and it has to be enjoyable. Or otherwise, it's just the drudgery of whatever task is at hand. But leadership is, to me, the biggest thing is mutual respect, and it's building relationships with each individual who is, I don't want to call them your subordinate, because there's such a big difference between a supervisor and or a manager and a leader.
Yeah.
There are a lot of managers I've ran into in life that are not leaders. They're problem solvers. They can pull the best out of people, without the personal thing. No personal attacks, none of that stuff. It's about you focus on the issue.
Yeah.
You're not a whodunit person, you're a why person.
Yeah. How do we fix it?
How do we fix it? What do we need to do different?
So, Bruce, what does leadership mean to you?
It's again, I'm a John Maxwell fan. He was a pastor. He wrote some really good books on leadership, and he really cuts it right to the core and said leadership is the ability to influence others. And that's what you're doing when you're leading. You're influencing them. You're influencing them for the good of the organization or the team or the family or whatever leadership role you're in. And sometimes there have been powerful leaders throughout history who were evil, and you hope that people who have those high leadership skills use their, like with the Spider-Man, use your powers for good, not evil. Yeah. But it's the ability to influence others. It's the ability to bring out the best in people, to find out where are you at, where would you like to be, what can you develop for the good of the organization, for the good of you, your self-esteem, your career, and good of the organization. So it's to figure out, what the organization needs and influence others to meet the goals of that organization. And it sounds simplistic, and leadership is, much more complicated than that. But I also believe that, and in leadership theory, this is called the great man theory, and it's not very popular, especially with the left, because it's an old theory that is male dominated, but I believe it's very true. I believe people I've coined the phrase a leadership quotient, an LQ instead of an IQ. I think every human being is born with a certain leadership quotient.
And a very small leadership quotient ends up being a follower.
Yes.
Definitely.
And very, very true. And it doesn't mean you can't improve your leadership ability. You can, but I don't think people with a low IQ can ever be a great leader. I think you have to. It's just like, but I think that some people are born with it, never get a chance to develop it. I think there are people who are put into leadership positions who improve, but I think there's a cap on them. I think they have a cap on them. They can only go so high in leadership. But it's really, finding out individually what people need, being their champion for them developing, getting a chance to develop themselves, whether it's opportunities, training, retraining, whatever it is, and to bring that together for the good of the organization.
Carmen.
If I could, one thing on leadership.
Yeah.
It's hard to define. It's hard, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
There's this intuition that tells you.
Yeah. When you
get
see
this
it,
feeling.
you know it. Yeah.
People want to follow a leader.
They do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Carmen, who inspired you to be where you're at today?
Oh,
Who is your
goodness.
biggest inspiration?
That's a personal question, but that's okay. I think it was my father. My father came from, he was the eldest of 10 siblings. They lived in a house that had one bedroom. They had an outhouse. He pulled himself up. He worked his behind off for a lot of years. He served in Korea. He was not an educated man, but he was an intelligent man. And I saw his work ethic, and I saw how much he struggled to make it. We had 5 children in our family, and we were
How many?
5.
I can't believe. Sorry to interrupt you. The similarities between you and I.
My father was a laborer in a factory. He served in Korea. He was a wounded vet. I miss him terribly. Lost him 15 years ago in a car accident. And he made it work. Our family was, my mom had a couple of kids when my father met her. I never knew that they weren't his kids because that's the way he treated us all. Wow. I didn't know that. And he adopted them and nurtured them and cared for them and loved them. And he made everything work, and back then, he worked at a refrigerator factory in Greenville. Oh. And sometimes he would work at both of the refrigerator factories, one on days and one on nights to make ends meet. And, it was difficult, and I just see what he did. And that's really had a large impact on me in my life.
Wow.
Just, he carved out a life, and that's all any of us
Sounds
can
like
do.
a leader.
Bruce, who was your biggest inspiration?
It's scary. It would be my father. My father served during Korea, 5 kids in our family, and he had an extremely high LQ. Never had a moment. He had a high school education. All of my grandparents were immigrants. He's a tremendous athlete. An Army buddy of his told me one time when they were in the Army, he was stationed in Germany, and he was such a good athlete that he and his crew, he was an RTO, but he was in his crew. There was a barn that had a basketball court, and all they did was practice because it was a big thing between generals, the competition, big bragging rights. And he was a great athlete. One of his buddies said, one day your dad was down at whatever it would have been, the Texas professional team back in the late 40s. I don't know what team that was, but they were practicing in their stadium. And he said, your dad was taking batting practice, and he started hitting home runs over the fence. And after several, we all just put our gloves down and watch, and he hit like 17 home runs over a professional league fence in a row. But he was a tremendous man, he lived by example, sacrificed everything for his family, very high. And I think my brothers and I have a high LQ. I think it isn't anything you brag about. It's what you're born with. I think we got it, from my dad. So, and he always, everything you do is based on doing the right thing. He was very spiritual, but everything, you ever do is based on doing the right and moral thing.
I love the athletic aspect of it too with your father. My father was a boxer.
Really?
Yes. I have some 8x10 glossies, if you will, of him out cold in the middle of the ring with a little blood dripping from his nose.
Wow.
But
in the service? Did he
in the
box?
service. Mostly when he was in Panama.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, they have an impact, They had a major impact.
Oh, yeah.
Closing thoughts before we end the show. I think it's
we've been here a long time.
we don't do breaks on here. We don't got to. There's no sponsors because you can't. There's no one to cancel me.
That's true. It's great.
I'm not doing this for money. I don't
great.
care.
If I could, as it relates to closing thoughts, one of the things that I see currently with the current county commission, and I see it throughout a lot of the municipalities and their leadership teams, they push the problems to the bottom of the barrel. Mm-hmm. They want to push them back down. You need to pick those off. You need to prioritize them. You need to pick it off. You need to resolve the issue. You need to implement corrective action, which is irreversible.
Yeah.
You need to verify that what you did worked. Okay. Now get on to the next problem. We don't do that. Our leaders do not, our wannabe leaders do not do that.
Yeah.
And we, as an example, at the county level, we've had difficulty with the prosecuting office with finding people. The man's been overworked for I don't know how long.
Unbelievable.
Since Brian Thady left.
Yeah.
And, the public doesn't even know this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's kind of been an effort for the public not to know that.
Yes, there has been an effort for the public not to know that. And that's unfortunate.
Poor Jonathan, I don't know how he does it. He was the junior prosecutor, very experienced prosecutor.
And
Brian
I feel
Thady
so
left.
bad for their family.
Yes.
The
impact that has on a family.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like, it's
And
no
then
matter what profession you're in, if you're not
his family's
supported,
done a lot for their child.
I've heard that. And then God bless them and help them in that issue they're going through. And then Amy Clapp, a good prosecutor, a good conservative attorney, became judge, and she's doing a great job. But suddenly you've got the junior prosecutor who's got the whole office. And I don't know how he survives on a day-to-day basis.
I think they finally.
But if Goshen comes in, people are going to move here for all the jobs in the area, and we might just get another prosecutor.
People will
And if you ever hear me do that, when someone says something that is so stupid it doesn't warrant a response, I'll go, and you'll hear me do this. I'll say, that's interesting.
How are we going to finance it? Because there's no tax revenue coming in.
Yeah.
I thought there was $44 billion or $44 million.
You're wrong, Carmen. After 30 years, there is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. After
and
30
I'm
years.
sure there'll still be lithium technology.
Oh, you mean from Goshen
If
itself?
Chuck doesn't need it all.
You wonder if he's going to pop up in one of these articles with an eyeball growing out of his head or something.
I still think someone should have given the man a glass of water to see what happened with that lithium.
He needs to snort it in the next time he does it. He needs to snort it. Why? Because he stated in the first chat with Chuck, he stated that they're nanoparticles. Okay, they're nanoparticles, 10 micron. Okay, complex material, meaning that they have a lot of surface area.
Yes.
Okay, so if the thing with the large amount of surface area gets into your lungs at that micron level, you're going to have problems.
Yes.
Okay. And he keeps saying,
it's going to expand.
It's going to be worse than COVID. COVID had a lot of surface area, a lot of attachment points. Okay. Those nanoparticles, if you breathe that in, when it's dustified at a micron level, that's bad.
It isn't
So
anything
snort it
I'd
next
welcome.
time, Chuck. Snort it.
Yeah.
Show everybody how safe it is.
I think we need to be more responsible. I think we need to represent the citizens more than we do. I'm not so sure we do. You take a look as an example, the funding that was given for the Dragon Trail. I mean, that's like so far south and west in the county.
Yeah.
I mean, they come up to 8 Mile on the east side of the
But it's
river.
going to bring new.
and they go across the river and they go right back into Newaygo.
County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no.
It's going to bring tourism to Big Rapids, is what they said.
You know, people who ride bikes stay in tents. They don't stay in hotels. They have the little Boy Scout mess kit. Okay, they don't go to restaurants. They're a different animal. You know, they're outdoors folks. That's what they do, and it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
but the people who made those decisions are always right.
Yeah, I suppose.
Huh, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to start doing that too. I like that.
It's a beautiful, actually, a good trooper buddy of mine taught me that years ago. And, that's interesting.
I can't wait to hear that when in a,
Oh,
in a
yeah.
meeting during a.
You're going to
can
hear
you
it,
do
and you two will be the only ones laughing.
during public comments.
Yeah.
You just instead of giving no response, you should just say, that's interesting.
And you can even, to be extra dramatic, you can point, and because when you say that, someone thinks, wow, he really cares about what I think. He must believe me. We're on the same page. When what you're saying is, that is so stupid, I'm not going to give it a response.
Did you ever watch Bugs Bunny when you were little?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when he called the Elmer Fudd a maroon?
A maroon.
Yeah,
A maroon.
maroon.
Instead of a moron, a maroon.
Yeah.
A maroon.
Yep.
And that's what I think when people do that.
Yeah.
But we need public discussion, public decision making.
What about for the My Brother's Keeper?
We need to address this homeless issue, and the county is skirting that issue. And
None of the other counties are giving money.
No, and resolving the issue does not mean welcoming more by providing all those services. That's not how you resolve this issue. This is a huge issue. It's not just
It's no longer local people.
no, and it's not a township issue only. It's not a city issue only. It's not a county issue only. You know, this goes to the state, to the feds. You know, we need to fund that kind of stuff. Let's fund mental health.
Yes.
Amen,
Let's
brother.
fund
Yeah, especially
school
with the guy with the
security.
machete
Amen,
and the,
brother.
the
Let's
parakeet.
not fund Chinese battery plants.
Yeah.
You got it. You just hit two such huge areas. I have so much compassion for two things: people with mental health issues and addictions.
Yes.
And it gets so easy to say, well, you shouldn't have been addicted, or you shouldn't have lived a lifestyle which gave you those mental health problems. The problem is sometimes people get there and they don't want to be there. They don't do it. It seems like they did it consciously because of the lifestyle they chose, but it doesn't matter. Once you're there, it's a hot mess and it's growing.
Each of us have that genetic, obsessive, compulsive desire, okay? It just manifests itself in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Some of us love to go hunting.
Yeah.
Some of us love to go fishing. Some of us love sports cars.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us love alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it's by the luck of the draw how yours is manifested.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but those folks need help.
Yes, they
And
do.
we need to help them.
Yep. And because it's compassionate.
Yes.
But the other thing is they cost us a ton of money in other ways.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they
So
do.
what is that balance? You know, I'm a responsible, fiscally responsible guy, and I don't like fat cat government spending. But at the same time, people with addictions, mental health problems, they're costing us a fortune. So are there public monies that could go toward them that maybe in the long run would save us tax dollars? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we have a tendency as a nation to just throw money at the problem.
Yeah.
There's no thought that goes into it. There's no what's the real problem. You can't fix anything until you know what the problem is.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
we're just shooting at the moon, so to speak.
Yeah.
You mentioned
Pissing in the wind, is that the term?
school security. The first $50 billion, I think, that went to Ukraine. I watched a law enforcement professional, and he broke it down to every school building in the United States: elementary schools, junior highs, high schools, trade schools, career centers, and for far less than the first payment that we sent to Ukraine, you could have highly trained, experienced police officers in every school in America every day, all day long. Not security guards or not.
But if you get rid of all the guns, then you wouldn't need that.
Well, there you go. That's interesting. But where are our priorities? Listen, I have compassion for what's going on in Ukraine. I care more about what's going on here first, and I care passionately about our children.
It needs to be one issue bills instead of wrapping everything up into multiple bills.
That's right.
One issue per bill.
Yep.
Issue,
Yep.
vote on it.
Mm-hmm.
If the issue can't get voted on with
By
its
itself,
own merit, exactly.
It didn't deserve to pass.
Exactly. That needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you guys know about the what's that called?
Nothing.
About the it was at the GOP meeting. There was a presentation on the
constitutional
Convention?
yes.
Convention of
The
States.
Convention
there you go.
of States.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
You
Because
know,
I said they did a presentation on Thursday about that, and I had some questions.
I'm
and
scared to death.
I am as well.
Our Constitution is still the longest,
Scared
the
to
oldest.
death of them doing that.
I'm scared to death of anyone opening up our Constitution.
Because
Okay.
everything is open for
Okay,
discussion.
okay.
That's right. And
all
our
right.
Constitution is the longest standing document that provides a framework for a government in the history of the world. And I remember having a discussion with a professor at Ferris, and she was a professor, and they were talking about, we were in particular talking about Second Amendment. And I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I'm a big Constitution guy. I don't pick amendments. But anyhow, she was talking about how the Constitution needs to be changed because it didn't protect her people at a certain point in the history. Yes, it did. People didn't protect her people. The Constitution's perfect.
Yeah.
The Constitution is colorblind. It recognizes nowhere in the Constitution does it say people of this particular color or gender or nationality are the ones protected by it. It's perfect. It was humans who failed. And so I am really scared of the concept of opening up our Constitution to make changes.
So they did this presentation, and they show some videos, and the people are very nice.
They
very,
are.
very nice.
I've seen the
people.
presentation.
And I'm listening to it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, first off, it's Article 5, which has never been used ever in the history. Okay. And that's their whole justification is, it was built into the Constitution. Let's use it. Okay. Well, it's never been used. We can amend the Constitution in other ways. I don't think we should. And the second thing is their whole justification is they want to add term limits, and they want to do something with make it a balanced budget.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
That's their two main reasons of why they want to do this. And I raised my hand. I'm like, okay, I appreciate you guys doing this. But first of all, it's never been used. Do you really want to open that can of worms for somebody to come around later? And number two, the whole Constitution is opened up for editing when you do that. And they immediately was like, no, it's not opened up for the whole thing. It's people can go to jail for going against and doing things that they're not supposed to. I said, show me in the Constitution where it says that. Nowhere in the Constitution does it have these protections against open it all up. Once you open it up, you open it up. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. Number two, I don't think we're in a situation for term limits and balanced budget in the sense to edit and put our Constitution at risk over term limits and that. The problem is, in my mind, and this is just my generation, the problem is not term limits at all. The problem is there's no accountability.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. Okay, there's no accountability.
Absolutely. We already have a process to do this. It's called the vote.
Correct.
Yes.
The problem is our voted elected officials are unaccountable, so many.
Right.
And we don't
So-
get involved enough to hold them accountable.
I said,
You're spot on.
Let's fix. Now, I don't think people should be career politicians, but that's besides the point. The problem isn't that there's term limits. It's there's no accountability. So I said, let's solve the root cause of the issue. Let's solve the accountability. I said, as kind of like a joke, you could fix the accountability issue right now. You can fix the economy. Anytime the deficit is more than 3% of the GDP, all elected officials are ineligible to run for re-election. Boom. bam, you fix it. You fix it immediately because then everybody, even if they're good, boom, immediately.
Because what is the
Now
number
they have
one
to work
thing?
as a team.
What's the number one thing every one of them want? Another term.
Exactly.
Yes, that power's addictive. When
Yes,
you
it
get
is.
power, you want more power.
Yep.
And money's addictive.
Yep.
And the amount of money that we spend in this country on politics is
Unbelievable.
But then they say, well, no one's going to pass
Perverted.
that law to do that. And I say, you're right, because we're not holding
don't hold
our
them
people
accountable.
Exactly.
We have a process to do it now. It's our vote.
Right.
Yes,
but-
So you get your people in there that are going to agree. And I guess, why don't we all start doing oaths, since can't do oaths, the other side says. I think we should all start doing oaths. Oaths that you're going to, our federal people are going to put this thing in there to hold them accountable. Boom. Or replace them and put your own other people in. I mean, that's what
get
we just
the
got to
boots
do.
on the ground and,
You need to
and
vote.
affect the change.
We need to get some Dr. Sherry O'Donnell's in.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
She is
What a wonderful
tremendous.
woman.
Listen to her. She is a physician. She's an internist from Southwest Michigan. I've become friends with her. She's deployed herself 5 times to the border. She's deployed herself to every medical emergency across the globe for the last 25 years. She's brilliant. She's so conservative. She's very spiritual. She's an ordained minister. She is so amazing. I encourage anyone listening to this, get out and look at Dr. Sherry O'Donnell. She's running for U.S. Senate. She's incredible. And she's exactly the kind of people you're talking about that will be held accountable. She knows why she's running, and she'll be held accountable.
Yeah. The other thing I said is, okay, so let's just say that it was restricted and no one's going to edit it. What's going to stop the left from remaking their own convention of states and changing it, get rid of the guns or get rid of free speech? They say, oh, it takes 38 blue states. I said, yes, but you underestimate the power of the rhinos.
Yes.
The rhinos, the difference between Democrats and Republicans is that the Democrats are very much work in a hive mind. They work together to push what they want to
Very
do.
much so.
Where Republicans don't, because there's too many people out there with their own personal agenda. Too many have been bought. Too many rhinos
Mitt
out
Romney's.
there. Yeah, exactly. That will bend for whatever lobbying or whatever.
Or to stay in
pay.
power.
To stay in, exactly. So that's the problem. And you underestimate, just because the color is you need 38 blue states and we don't have 38 blue states, doesn't mean you're not going to get some rhinos to shift.
doesn't.
Okay.
No.
And so it might not happen now if the Constitution or Convention of States happen. It might not be right now, but it will be my generation that will have to reap the repercussions,
The whirlwind.
the whirlwind of opening that can of worms. And I said, I'm not willing to have you guys, because you're worried about the budget right now and term limits, ruin it for my generation and have to deal with it.
They cannot mitigate that risk.
No.
No.
That
And they
risk
said,
is
there is no risk.
And the thing
there
is-
risk.
Exactly.
There are so many special interest groups in this country that a number of tails wag the dog.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they're right. The concepts, our budget, it's a perversion of what this country. They're right. They're not.
I'm not saying it's
in
incorrect.
term
It's
limits.
just that
I
I'm not
agree.
willing to wager the Constitution.
That's not the
Constitution.
fix.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we have the way to do it. And you ask, why are we getting involved? We're both grandpas. We're retirees. It would be so much easier. His view out at his place is as beautiful as mine, to just sit out there and sip bourbon every night and do nothing. But how do you change it? Get involved and hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Don't sit back and bitch.
Nope.
Go
Yeah.
do something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if
get involved,
and if you
at
don't,
all ages,
Yes.
at all ages,
At all ages.
and if
we
you,
need more people my age.
there's 100%. We've talked
Yes, we
about
do.
that. How many other 30-year-olds are involved, knowledgeable, or care enough about the political landscape? And they're hard to find.
Yeah.
But if you don't get involved, you don't care, then don't say a word when stuff gets rammed down your throat. Just sit there and take it like a good little sheep. Meh. And you can take it like the rest
Well,
of the
that's
sheep.
how I feel like the libertarians do, because they're always losing, and they just I voted.
Yeah.
Well, Billy Joel said it. We didn't start the fire.
Yeah.
No, we did not start
And
the
there
fire.
is
And I
a
wish
fire, and I'm going to fight it.
Yep.
I wish That's the only part that I miss on the radio is I could have played that song right now.
Yeah.
And so you know what? I guess I am
we could
looking for
sing it.
well, we could, but I'm looking for sponsors of this show just so that I can get the licensing so that I can put that music on this podcast.
Well, let's put you on the face of the earth, buddy. Let's
You
do
should.
it.
There's got to be some sponsors out there.
It's
Number
not that
one,
expensive. I mean, it is expensive for me to just pay it, but I'm not looking for
Well-
sponsors to then control what I do. I'm just needed for the money to keep doing these type of things.
And why are they sponsoring? You're developing a pretty popular show here. They're going to sell some of their products, so that's a two-way street.
I just will not be controlled by a sponsor
You mean?
and advertiser.
Wait a minute. Everyone says we control everything you do. That you're a puppet for us.
No,
Not so much.
no. Wrong answer. Where's
Yeah, where's that? Your buzzer.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites.
I need to work on this.
That's the
Not
good one.
true. Half the time, nobody knows what I'm going to do until
You
after
don't.
I've done it.
And then after you do it, you get a text or call from me, don't you? Why in the heck did you do that? You never should have done that.
And
You don't listen.
And I just say to myself, Chris, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah. Or sometimes
They
we
just
say,
keep attacking me.
and sometimes afterward we say, that's interesting.
Yes. How do you do it? Gee, why
This is
didn't I
going to be
think of
funny
that?
because in a public forum sometime in the next year,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that, and you two are going to be the only one laughing in the room because no one else will know what I'm doing.
All right. Well, this is the longest show we've done. We've had no breaks.
It's been fun.
It is.
I kind of miss this.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting here watching the whitetail out in the field.
Just one?
Now I see 3 or 4.
Yeah, there's a bunch
four.
that come out there.
All right. I think we're done with this show.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
inviting
Yeah.
Thank you
us
for
to
being on.
participate in your propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need change, and we need it now.
Yes,
Yes,
we do.
we do.
And someone has to start. And if little old Mecosta County is the one to do it,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
going to
So
the
be
one
it.
to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mecosta County is what started the conservative movement in the first
It
place
is,
with
right.
Russell Kirk.
It is.
Russell Kirk, I
So-
hope he would be proud of
This
it.
is round. I think he would.
I read a
actually,
couple-
Chapman said he would be rolling over in his grave. He said that in November.
Laughing at Jim.
You know, the one thing I've learned from him in his book is that, where does the word conservatism come from? Conserving those things that we hold so precious.
Conserving the permanent things.
Conserving the permanent things, conserving our faith, conserving a structure of our Constitution, and conserving the good things. That's the conservative movement.
You know, his statement on change being there's a permanence to it,
Yes.
and it's unknown.
Yes.
Yeah,
But once it's done, it's done.
it's done.
Yes.
You can't go backwards.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I've tried closing the show now 3 times. This will be the 3rd attempt of closing the show.
How's it
So,
working out?
Every time I try to close it, you guys keep coming back for more.
That's interesting.
Hey, this influence.
Yeah.
This shows I've got some leadership ability. I've influenced you guys.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. It's a powerful tool. Hey,
Yes, it is.
good night, America.
Good
Good
night,
night.
America. Bless you.
This we call collaborating evidence.
They are not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop until they uncover every lie, every deception, every legal, every web, every immoral action. They are not going to stop. They're not going to stop.
I'm asking simply, do you have any questions about the mushrooms that I grow on my property, my marital infidelities?
Sir, if you are disorderly, the door is that way. I explained that last month.
There's the door. Thank the board for bringing us together.